Hello YouTube, Ian here. For today's video, I wanted to talk about how to merge from EasyEDA to KiCAD. I made the decision to make this jump a while back, and I'm glad I did. I really should have just started out with KiCAD in the first place. I guess I chose EasyEDA to begin with because it was part of the whole JLCPCB and LCSC ecosystem, but KiCAD is just better. That's my opinion at the end of the day, now that I've tried them both and used them pretty extensively. So if you're just starting out, go for KiCAD. It's got way more features and it runs on your local desktop instead of in a browser and storing your stuff in a cloud. It's got way fewer bugs, just everything about it is better. So that said, I want to make this video to show you what I learned on how to make the switch from EasyEDA to KiCAD. It's a mess, I'll say that. So I guess first thing to talk about is some settings in KiCAD. So I found it just plain easier, rather than learning all of KiCAD's keyboard shortcuts and the layer colors, it was easier to just change them to be what I was used to. Like the rotate, for example, is the R key, and I was used to pressing the space bar in EasyEDA. And to make that one even more confusing, there's a program that I use at work at my real job that uses the R key for rotate, so that was a confusing subject. It was just easier to change the rotation to the space bar. So to change the shortcuts in KiCAD here, we'll go to Preferences, and then Hotkeys. And here it's pretty intuitive to change the hotkeys to do whatever you want. KiCAD is pretty heavy on hotkeys, which is nice. EasyEDA has a few, but I'd say KiCAD has more. Changing the colors in the PCB editor, that was a must for me. I'm just too used to looking at EasyEDA's colors, so you can make fun of me if you want for setting KiCAD to look like EasyEDA, but that was just easier to look at for me. So yeah, here's the KiCAD default theme. But for example, well, let's see, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I wanted to show you this. So here we are in EasyEDA, and those are the layer colors. If I click this little gear, then there it's showing me the hexadecimal colors, or the hexadecimal code for those colors. So if I just highlight that and copy it, then I can just paste it down there. That's a different number, I'm not sure why. I think that's the same color. I'm not sure why that happened. I don't think I actually changed anything. I didn't really want to. But anyway, I suggest doing that for all the layers that you're used to using in EasyEDA. That just makes it easier. I guess next I'll talk about how to export out of EasyEDA and import your stuff into KiCAD. It wasn't exactly intuitive. I don't know, there's probably a resource out there that would show you how to do it, but I just had to figure it out. So you would think that you could go to File, Export, EasyEDA, and that'll give you that JSON output that's a EasyEDA format on a local drive, but I couldn't find a way to make that work. Somebody tell me if you know a trick. But what I figured out is you can go to Advanced and Backup Project, and it takes you over to your, like, the back end of your user account where all this stuff lives. So there's all my projects. I've got 5 pages of them. I'm going to work on reference circuits because that's what I was working on recently. I'm just going to search REF, that should find it. Yeah, here we go. So I drew my books, Reference Circuits Volume 1 and 2. They're cool little circuit board books that have actual circuits on each page instead of just diagrams on paper. So I drew them in EasyEDA, which was a mistake in retrospect. So if I find it in there, click on it and hit download here. If it doesn't actually download, it gives you this link in your mailbox here. So if you click this alert, although it looked like it just took me over there, then I can click that download link there. That's my download. That's what we need. Not intuitive to go look in your notifications in EasyEDA for the backups, but whatever, that's how they do it. So now, if I go over to KiCAD here, I'm going to go to File, Import Non-KiCAD Project, and I used the standard version of EasyEDA. So I just need to go and find this in my downloads folder. Now, I don't know why it does this, but if I hit open, then it'll make a folder. It's telling me the selected directory is not empty. It wants to put the project in a folder. I've already got this imported. I'm not going to keep it in my downloads folder, so this is fine. I can make a copy of it in my downloads folder. So this is telling me that it couldn't find a schematic. That's not a surprise because I don't draw schematics for reference circuits. It just opened a blank schematic there. This may not actually be the best example to show you because it doesn't have a schematic, but that's okay. This one opened up on the other screen also. So if we did have a schematic, it would look pretty much the same, but the catch is none of these symbols have libraries, so this is fine if you don't want to make any changes really, but if you want to change anything, then you really have to, in my opinion, make a library for each of those schematic symbols. Or not a library, it has to be stored in a library rather, but you have to make a KiCAD symbol, and that's true for the schematic symbols and the board footprints. And I meant to say it earlier, I'll go ahead and say it now. Honestly, I think it's, unless you've got one heck of an involved schematic, it's just easier to redraw it. Open KiCAD on one screen and open EasyEDA on the other, and redraw your thing from the start. I think that's easier than fighting all of these dumb little bugs. So this is the cover for my book, Reference Circuits Volume 1. I might actually have to switch to another one because of a little thing that I wanted to show you. But this is the catch here. This imports just fine, and I have to give whoever programmed that credit because it works pretty well. So I don't mean to beat on it too hard, but this would make sense if this were a real circuit board, or even if it was a board that's intended to go inside of a plastic case never to see the light of day again. This is still kind of obnoxious how all these reference designators and component numbers are populated there now, and then like those are grouped, I guess, as a group of themselves. There's another one I'll show you. I'm going to have to pause this and open a different document. I'll just do that. Okay, I switched designs on us here. So yeah, this is one of my Nixie clocks that I designed in EasyEDA, and I've imported it now into KiCAD. And look at this, when I run the design rules checker, I've got 518 errors. This is a perfect design in EasyEDA, but it's going to take me hours to fix every single one of these. It's not as bad as it looks because a lot of these are something that doesn't matter, like silkscreen overlap or silkscreen on the board edge. I'll just ignore all of those, and then the ones that are left that I actually have to deal with are kind of fewer. But ironically, I don't see the error that I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, right here it is. This is the most irritating one to me. Warning, pad stack is questionable. Negative solder paste margin is larger than pad. No solder mask will be generated. So I'll show you what that means. This is particularly tedious to fix. I'm going to move that over to my other screen and zoom way in there. And I'm just clicking on one of those. So it's talking about this pad now, I know, because it highlighted that when I clicked on it. So if I double click on that, or I can use E, the hotkey, and I go over here to clearance overrides. For whatever reason, when you import an EasyEDA board file, every single surface mount solder pad, it seems, ends up with this negative 100 in this field with this for the solder paste absolute clearance. So you have to go through and delete every single one of those negative 100s in every single solder pad. For a board like this, that'll probably take me an hour. So yeah, between all of those little things, I'd have to redo the library, the footprints in a library, and redo the schematic symbols in a library. Altogether, I don't know. I just did it for both of my books, Reference Circuits Volume 1 and 2, because it's easier to deal with all this than to redraw those. They're pretty dang involved. But for a board like this, I would really just redraw it. That's what I ended up doing with this one, actually. Open up one design, or the KiCAD design on one screen and EasyEDA on the other, and just copy it one part at a time. And then you don't have to fight this the whole way through. It's just easier to redraw it than to deal with this. It's actually pretty fast to just redraw a board when you're only copying it, I find. And yeah, that's better than dealing with this. It wasn't so intuitive to figure out how to actually generate the Gerber file to send it off to JLCPCB in the end. But what I figured out, come to think of it, I've never actually tried this. I can do file, plot, and generate a Gerber file in here. But one cool feature about KiCAD, if I can find the main menu here. There we go, that's what I was looking for. It's got all these plugins. And it must be pretty easy to write a plugin in Python, or whatever is going on under the hood. What language? I think it's Python I saw. But anyway, all kinds of amazing people have written these cool plugins that do all kinds of cool things. And one of them, I don't remember what it's called, but it doesn't really matter. Let's see if, yeah, that fabrication toolkit, JLCPCB fabrication toolkit. This makes actually exporting the Gerber pretty easy. So I've already got that installed. I'm going to go back to the board layout and show you here. All I have to do is push that button. You don't have to save, by the way, before exporting the board layout in KiCAD. So I pushed that button. I got this pop up on my other screen. I'll hit generate. And boom, there's my Gerber. You just drag and drop that over to JLCPCB. Pretty painless. I think this other method under the file menu probably works too, but I just got in the habit of using that plugin. I figured that out before I figured out that it was over here. So I don't know, somebody tell me if that actually works. It probably works just fine. I think in the coming weeks I'll go into depth about everything I learned about KiCAD and all the different features and how to use them. I'll make that an entire series of videos. We'll go from an idea to a finished surface mount assembled board. I think that'll be fun to go into detail about how to do a surface mount pick and place reflow assembly lineup. I've got all that in my office here to my left, so we'll start at the very beginning and end up with a finished product over there. I think that's the bulk of what I wanted to show you about converting from EasyEDA. I don't know what I forgot. Let me know in the comments and I'll try to help you out if I can. Thanks for watching, and please do like and subscribe.